Adding a user interface to your trading bot is an amazing way to get all the information you need to make great trading decisions. In this series, over a number of episodes, I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to fully integrate it into building our trading bot. You'll be amazed at how much it revolutionizes your ability to use your trading bot and extract useful information from the exchanges that you know and love. In this particular episode, I'm going to start by showing you the layout of the user interface. It's the foundation for everything else that we're going to cover in this series, and I think you're really going to love it. So head on over as we check it out. There's a couple of things you need in order to make this episode work. You need a Python terminal, and I use Visual Studio Code. I think it's amazing. And you also just need the ability to run Streamlit, which means a web browser. Now, in terms of setting up for this, make sure that you've imported Streamlit into your environment. You can do that through your requirements.txt file. If at any point you feel like you need some help, please feel free to jump onto our Discord. It's a super helpful community, and we love helping people there. Otherwise, let's get on into the code. Here's what we'll be designing in this episode. It'll really help you with your MetaTrader 5. We want to add a few things. We want a drop-down that allows us to use a settings file. We want an alert listener, which can be Discord or direct. We want to choose our platform, which is MetaTrader 5 or Alpaca. And we want the ability to make trades. Now, all of these functions, as we go through building this trading bot, can be expanded. So we can add Binance, we can add Coinbase, we can add lots of different things to this. We can add different ways of getting our things. So we've currently just got a settings file. We can also choose different places to get our alerts from. So right now we've got Discord, but we could add Telegram, WhatsApp, email, lots of different things depending on your setup. So that's pretty helpful. And then we want our start button. This Tradoxy Intelligence Copilot is something we'll be filling out throughout the rest of this series as we go through it. So let's get into the actual code for it. I'll just pull up my code. All of the functionality for the first part of the user interface is actually contained in the app.py file. Now you can see this is the app for episode 1.py. That's so that you've got the basis on which to build this if you want to build it for yourself. Otherwise, if you just download the open source trading bot straight from the location on GitHub that's in the description, you can just use it as it is and not worry about filling out the functions. Completely up to you. So here's how we go about doing it. We have our standard if underscore name is equal to main. So that basically just tells Python get started. If someone pushes play on app.py, get started on the function. We want to start our Streamlit app. So we've got here a couple of configurations, and you can change these to be whatever you want. So I've chosen the page title be the Tradoxy terminal, the page icon to be this cool little charty thing, and the layout is wide. The layout wide simply means it's just going to fill out the whole page. Otherwise you can end up with a situation where it just only ends up filling 3/4 of the page, and in my opinion doesn't look so good. Totally up to you. And all of the documentation for this you can actually find on the Streamlit website. It's a completely open source project and it's really amazing. I really recommend it, to be honest. Then we're going to create a header. So the header is that file, the thing you saw on the web page, which is this, the Tradoxy terminal. So that's the header there. Then we want to create a couple of containers. So we've got a header container, and we use the Streamlit.container method to do that. The Streamlit.container method is a built-in method to Streamlit, which basically says create a container within my current container to do it. So you can actually make that to an arbitrary size. You can do as many nested different Streamlit containers as you want. Within that, we're going to create 4 columns in our header container. Now these 4 columns are the 4 columns that you saw that we're talking about there with our settings, what alerting we're going to be listening to, what terminal we're going to be opening, MetaTrader 5 or Binance, and what settings we want to be able to use. So we do that by specifying within the header container that we just created the number of columns that we want, which is 4. And I've chosen to call them settings, choice, alert, listener, trading platform, and settings. Underneath that then, using the same Streamlit.container parent, we also then want to have our start stop, which is the start button, and we're going to set that to a default of false. That's the start button that you saw here. Okay, this is the start button. We start by doing that one. So if it's false, when someone pushes it, we want it to become true, and we basically specify how we want that to look. Then we create our Copilot container, which is this container here, the Tradoxy Intelligence Copilot container, and that's pretty exciting. That one you will be filling out throughout the series. Some really powerful functions, which I think you're really going to like. We move on and we create a title for our Copilot container, so the Tradoxy Intelligence Copilot. Next we want to fill in our settings file. Now in the settings file we only really want two options. Either we want our settings to use a settings file, or we don't, and that's pretty straightforward. We do that by specifying this .select box method within Streamlit. So we have our title, which is this line here, then we have our options, which is this line. We don't want to index that to anything, and we want the placeholder, which is the default text, to be select an option. I'll show you what this looks like in practice. So there's our settings file. You can see use settings file. There's our select an option, and there's our choices, yes or no. Like I said, pretty straightforward. I really like Streamlit. Next we want to update our alerting configuration. So currently we're just going to add in two options. So we've got our alerting options, which are going to be our Discord or direct. We've got the title of that to be our alert listener, no index, and we want our placeholder to be select an alerting option. So once again, showing you what that looks like. There's our alert listener here. Discord and direct, alert listener. Pretty awesome. Now we're going to do a little bit of branching logic on what happens if someone chooses these different alert listeners. So if alerting option is equal to Discord, then we need to update the user. So we're going to say container.write connecting to Discord. If we have a settings file, .env load from the .env thing, which is a built-in Python method to use your .env file, and then we need to get our Discord key, which we'll get to later. Now, and this one will actually cover on how to fill this out in a future episode, so you'll really like that. Then we get out, if we choose not to use a settings file, then we need to get the Discord key from the user, so we do that. Okay. Next we want to choose which trading platform we're going to use, so we've got a select box for that. So here we have our title trading platform, two options, Alpaca and MetaTrader 5. Index is equal to none, and there's our trading thing there. So we have our trading platform, selected trading platform, Alpaca and MetaTrader 5, and then we make our trades yes or no, which I'll show you what that looks like now. You're probably quite used to this now. Okay, so we do some branching based on our MetaTrader 5 terminal. So if the settings file is equal to yes, we load all of our settings. If it's not, then we go ahead and get them from the user. When we've filled all of that, we then want to try and start MetaTrader 5, which is what we did on the previous episode. And if there's a failure, then we stop. Next, we go to our trading platform is equal to Alpaca, and we do the same thing. And we'll be covering how to connect to Alpaca in a future episode. And then our final action is about selecting the select box for the fourth column, which is our make trades column. So hopefully that all makes sense. So that was a really brief run through on the user interface. What we'll be doing as we go through this series is slowly but surely filling out this user interface to add more and more functionality to what we're doing. It's really exciting, and I think you'll really find this helpful, so I can't wait to show you more.